Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the one and only Hosting Cruz, bringing you another exciting edition of boxing. Don't forget to hit and to like, subscribe to my channel. It's always greatly appreciated. Stay tuned. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Hosting Cruz, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a solid, very intriguing matchup in my book. At 160 pounds is a unification. You got one side from Kazakhstan, maybe the best Kazakhstan fighter since Triple G. 17-0, 12 KOs. Has delivered some KOs of the year contenders with his vicious left uppercut. Excellent boxer puncher, deadly left hand. Something that anybody that fights Janibek has to be careful, has to look out for, because it comes quick, it's accurate, and it's powerful. 17-0, 12 knockouts, Janibek Alimkhanuly. Man, these names are hard to pronounce, but that's the name right there, ladies and gentlemen. IBF and WBO middleweight champion of the world, who is, I think, the best fighter at 160 without a deep resume. But speaking of deep resumes, now Janibek, before I get into the deep resume part, Janibek, even though he doesn't have a lot of big names on his record, he's a unified champion already. And what he's been doing so far in the sport, like how he's been looking in his fights, very, very dominant, very impressive, is the reason where he's at today. Two-time, now unified champion, IBF, WBO, and has become one of the best fighters in the weight class without a deep resume. Either he's fought taxi drivers, cab drivers, or he's just that damn good. And we're going to find out how just damn good he really is. Because even though Janibek is unified champ, if you look at his record, he hasn't fought anyone. There's no familiar names. But that will all be put to the test on December 6th on the Lamar Roach card versus Pitbull Cruz fight. That will be put to the test because he's going to be fighting one of the best fighters I've seen throughout my whole years of watching boxing. And the ageless wonder. 31-3, 3 draws, 19 knockouts. Erislandy, the American Dream, Lara. Now, the ageless wonder, because I think the older he gets, the better he fights. Or with the career he's had so far, you would think Erislandy Lara is slowing down, but no, he has maintained his performance level at an advanced age of 42. He's the oldest world champion, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right now in boxing. 42 years old, the current WBA middleweight champion of the world, Erislandy Lara, ladies and gentlemen, who has been in there with a who's who in the sport of boxing, from Paul Williams, Carlos Molina, Alfredo Apero Angulo, Austin No Doubt Trout, Canelo Alvarez, Danny Garcia. Just name it, ladies and gentlemen. Erislandy Lara has been in there with them. Had some controversial decisions with Paul Williams. I thought he defeated Paul Williams. Close fight with Carlos Molina. They gave that a draw. I thought he beat Canelo Alvarez. A lot of people thought Lara defeated Canelo, and I was one of those that thought that Lara defeated Canelo. It is what it is. He got a split decision loss in that fight. And he was able to pick up a world title a few years later in the first round. And a card that took place at the Home Depot Center in Carson. Now, he's made 3 title defenses since. Last defense was against Danny Garcia. Was the first man to stop Danny Garcia in the fight. Like I always say, that Danny Garcia was not the version that I've always known of. Danny Garcia is always shown to have one of the best chins in boxing. goes out on the shield. So, and even Danny said it, his mind was not there. But it is what it is. You know, Lara was able to get the win. He got a big name on his record, and Danny Swift Garcia. But this fight right here, and back to what I was saying with deep resume, Lara has a very deep resume, something that Janibek doesn't have. Even though Janibek has the IBF and WBO titles, he's a unified champion. But like I mentioned earlier, how good Janibek really is. Is he really fighting taxi drivers, cab drivers for world titles? Or is he just that damn good? In my book, Janibek has shown me the skills, the power, the talent that can compete with anyone, right? But like I said, I'm saying, we haven't really seen Janibek in there with a top name. But that's gonna all change because on December 6th, based on what I'm reading, and I know you guys have seen it out there as well, that Janibek is gonna defend his IBF and WBO titles against Erislandy Lara in a unification, while Lara defends the WBA title. Tremendous fight on paper. Tremendous fight, very intriguing fight because Janibek is gonna get his first big test to date of his career against the future Hall of Famer in Erislandy Lara, one of the best Cuban fighters I've seen in quite some time in the history of professional boxing. You know, Cuban fighters are great in amateur boxing, a lot of gold medals. That's what they're known for. But in professional boxing, they're not like Mexico, Puerto Rico. They got world champions, you know. They've got world champions like Yuri Ortiz Gamboa, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Erislandy Lara himself, Joel Casamayor. So Cuba has produced some tremendous fighters in professional fighting, in professional boxing. And Erislandy Lara is one of those. Hit, not get hit, but Lara can also surprise you. He can stand in the pocket, trade shots with you, like we did against Jarrett Hurd and Brian Castaño. Those are tremendous action fights. So Lara, and now that he's a bit older, Lara tends to not move as much. He will more circle you, stand and trade, but being quite effective at it. Some say he has increased his punching power. Lara has always had some good power, but some say he has increased his power. Lately, he's been able to force stoppages in his career, like when in the last few fights, even involving Danny Garcia, he was able to score stoppages. I think ever since he won this WBA title, he's been knocking out everyone he's fought. So here comes now Janibek, who has not even been close to getting knocked out or even defeated. Now he's going to have someone in front of him in Erislandy Lara that has seen it all in the sport and has fought a who's who and world champion still, even at 42, and looks like he's not even slowing down, even at 42. It's going to definitely test Janibek in all levels. Heart, when he gets into the deep waters, because Lara's going to take him there. Lara's going to take him there because he has what it takes. We've seen it many times. He's definitely going to take Janibek into deep waters, and we're going to see how Janibek responds when the fight is getting tough. They're in the deep water. They're in the trenches. Everything's going to be tested by Janibek. When things aren't going his way, how will Janibek adjust? Because Lara, even at 42 years old, man, he's always been a bag of tricks. You just never know what you're going to get from Lara, man. He's tricky. He's not easy to deal with. Good feet. Stands in the pocket. It all depends on the opponent he fights. But even at 42, he's still a bag of tricks. And that same bag of tricks is what Janibek is going to have to deal with. Because Lara is sharp, accurate, always been an accurate boxer. Excellent counter puncher as well. Just a tremendous ring IQ. So much experience coming in. So, if you want the betting favorite, a lot of people are going to go with Janibek because he's undefeated. He's a younger fighter. He's very promising. He's been promising. And he's been dominating everyone he's fought. But he has not fought a name until now, which is Erislandy Lara. Lara's going to test Janibek, man. Because Janibek hasn't been tested. I'll be honest with you. In my book, he's not been tested. Even though he's unified champion. He has not faced an elite fighter yet, and Erislandy Lara will be the first man will be the first elite fighter that Janibek will fight. So we'll see how Janibek responds and how he reacts, adjusts to someone, not only an elite fighter like Lara, but the style that Lara will present. Because Lara is no easy task for anyone. I don't care who you are. And Janibek, like I said, we're going to find out how good Janibek really is. Because if Janibek can get through Erislandy Lara, convince him. Because it's hard to defeat. Lara has 3 losses, but it's hard to defeat. And those 3 losses are to Canelo, to Paul Williams. And those 2 losses, the 2 losses alone to Paul Williams and Canelo are controversial. Some say he may have. I thought he defeated Paul Williams. I thought he defeated Canelo Alvarez. The last loss, I said he got 3 losses, right? To Canelo, to Paul Williams, and to Jarrett Hurd. So the Jarrett Hurd one was a split decision loss. So he lost to Jarrett Hurd by split decision. He lost to Canelo Alvarez split decision. And he lost to Paul Williams by majority decision. Those are all the majority decision. I thought, like I said, I thought Lara won it. And the losses to Jarrett Hurd and Saul Canelo Alvarez, I thought he beat Alvarez. And the Jarrett Hurd fight was a close fight. I think the knockdown score by Jarrett Hurd made the difference in the last round. But prior to that, man, that fight was a nip and tuck, all-out brawl. And that was like the first true war of Erislandy Lara's career. And then he fought the next one and got a draw against Brian Castagna. But either way, man, Janibek is going to have his hands full even at 42 years old, even with a 42-year-old Lara. Because Lara is just that damn good, been that damn good. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a legend in the sport. One of the best Cuban fighters of all time. And Janibek is going to experience that. And like I said, if Janibek can defeat Lara convincingly, which is something that no one has ever done, without controversy, then Janibek is for real. He's for real. He's the real deal. So we're going to see what's going to happen in this fight when that bell rings. Interesting fight. I won't be surprised if Lara wins this fight. That's it. Some I'm going to call an upset because Janibek is younger. He's undefeated. It's supposed to be his time. But Lara is still Lara. Don't let that 42-year-old, don't let that age of 42 trick you. You know. So we're going to see what's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think about this fight in the comment section below. Who you guys got winning. I made a poll on my channel about this fight. Who you guys got? And what? 60% chose Janibek, 40% chose Lara. On paper, and to me, stylistically, is a toss-up. So we'll see what happens. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Hostin Cruz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys about boxing. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.